Good afternoon, Keon. Good afternoon, James. Do you guys have working microphones today?
I do, yes.
I got to make sure my ears are turned on. I think I'm on. I usually do more like a conversation than just like a lecture or death by PowerPoint, blah, 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 blah. Nobody wants to hear that.
I
So who's
think
that?
my ears is
James,
fine.
I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's James. Yep, I wanted to make sure my ears was working myself. Okay, that's good to know. We're good. Yep.
Yeah. I set it to mute everybody at first. I suppose I could set it not to mute, but yeah, I mean, God only knows what will might come through until you decide to unmute the microphone. So yeah, I make everybody muted at first. Which program are you in, James? Are you in digital cinematography, creative writing, film?
Digital cinematography. Yep.
Okay. A lot of students now are from DC. That's what we're calling it.
Yeah.
What made you decide to enroll in the program?
First of all, and I'll keep it very short. I fell in love with a camera in general when I was 8 years old with my grandmom. I'm from Philadelphia, so we got family in Virginia that travel coming from the inner city. I used to see horses, kind of stuff I don't see in the inner city. So I started snapping photos
Okay.
with a film camera, and that turned into me falling in love with freezing time. And then I just read about it. This is my first time attending school in my 40s, but I just learned the craft and fell in love with it over and over and over again until it pushed me to video. And now I just want to tighten it up. I want to know what it takes to, be a part of this creative world, so to speak. So that's what got me here.
I would say being a still photographer is more difficult than being a cinematographer because you got to be able to see that moment. I know some people are shooting like the fashion photographer, girls on films, and then you just pick the one that looks good. But that's a different skill set just to being able to see that one moment. With film, we're shooting 24 frames a second. So it's very easy to pull a still from your movie that looks pretty good because it's running continuously, and so you got to have a really good eye to do still photography.
Yes, true, very true. Very true. Everything you said.
What would you like to do when you finish the program? Let's say within like the 5 years after graduating.
I wanna apply my vision to storytelling as far as documentaries. Of course, I want to do shorts. I think everything that I want to do, I want it to have like meaning. Most people do, obviously, but I mean like for a purpose. Um, mental health, family orientated things, and bring awareness to things I feel like get touched on, but maybe not shadowed over and over again. I kind of want to create this atmosphere where it's safe to be as creative as you want, not by any boundaries. So we'll say mental health. If we're speaking on depression, I don't want to show you the worst of it. I want to show you what happens when it's not helped, or you didn't find the help, or what the road but back to healing looks like, and things like that. I want to provide documentaries that keep you in touch with how to heal, and tie in religious things as well in the future, and just have fun with the craft. That's.
Well, ironically, because you said documentaries and issues like mental health in terms of career wise, that is very healthy. Sometimes it's hard to raise money in America, but documentaries is a little bit healthier. And then if you're doing documentaries about stuff where there are philanthropic organizations, centered around stuff like mental health or veterans' mental health. Um, Aside just from a donor or investor in terms of money, you can team up with organizations, and they got a lot of money, and they'll give you the money to do like a joint partnership to so you could very easily get money to do a documentary or even a short with topics like those that you're interested in exploring. So that's a good lane to be in. You have a bright and promising future in that lane.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I don't think Keon. Oh, Keon. Good afternoon. I don't know if he has a mic or is going to turn it on. But hello, Keon. What's happening?
Hey, how's it
uh,
going?
oh, good. Which program are you in?
The digital cinematography program.
Okay, yeah, that's where I'm. Digital cinematography is my home program. I I don't know if I call myself a documentary filmmaker. I do make documentaries. I recently made a documentary. Why did you enroll in the program, Keon?
So I actually graduated from film school here in Dallas, from a local film school called Media Tech.
Okay.
And I originally was going to transfer to the University of Texas, but then I stumbled across Full Sail and I decided to go with the online program.
I was online, just like
Yeah.
more convenient, or
Yeah.
get through it faster.
Yeah, it was more convenient for me because I'm family man. So, and then we're here in Dallas, Texas now. So it's like I didn't want to relocate. So decided to do the online before.
Um, Yeah, it's weird. I was recently a student myself. I was terrestrial, campus based, but then COVID happened just after my first semester, and suddenly my campus based program became online, which was weird. It was kind of a blessing because I was driving 150 miles a day, and so I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
mind the lockdown. I was like, I'm good. We don't need to rush through this.
Right. That worked
Take our
out perfect.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it worked out really well for me. Everybody else was miserable. I had, my executive chair and stuff. I was good.
Yeah.
um, so what would you like to do, say, within 5 years after you graduate?
My goal, I've always been passionate about sports. So I played football all the way from little all the way through high school, and I did a semi-pro football. So I've always been drawn to sports. So I like sports documentaries and things like that. Any type of documentaries in general, but mainly I like to focus on sports documentaries.
Sports is really healthy. If you just sort of look beyond, I want to be the cameraman, or, I want to be the cinematographer, I want to be the producer. There's just a lot of stuff that happens through the entire production workflow, whether it's right out there during the sport or in post production. Like, I got a guy from when I got my master's in screenwriting who does the sound for the NFL games. I mean, he wasn't even a sound man, it just paid so much money. He
Yeah,
became a sound man, and you get to go to all the games. There's lots and lots of sports television and behind the scenes and documentaries. There's just youth sports is millions and millions and millions of dollars, and camps and all kinds of stuff. Um, there's just like unlimited opportunities when you say you're interested in sports and you want to tie that with film, video, and
yeah.
cinematography. So very, very healthy.
I've been trying to figure out how to monetize from a just like a freelance standpoint of doing sports. So it's kind of been my challenge right now. So being a full sale, hopefully, I can kind of tie everything in together and figure things out from there.
If you inserted yourself into youth sports, that can be a gold mine. If it's just like a little league game or whatever, or Pop Warner, that's not a lot of money. But then there are these huge camps as
Hmm.
the kids get older that need some sort of video component, and that's when you can really start getting into ridiculous money. And it's very undersaturated, the high end youth sports world, as terms of going in there with video. And so that's just like a really easy way to make some fast money if you start targeting high end youth sports
Okay.
camps and
Okay.
travel leagues.
Okay, that sounds good.
The sky's the limit. Whenever you do a bid, I do what's called a high, a medium, and a low. Some people think everybody's just like me, middle class, and they need a deal. But no, Some people have money. They're like, "No, I want best, premium product only. What's his best package?" You're like, "Oh, the
True,
best
true.
package is 300,000. Yes, so only the best. We need best package." And
Hmm.
then you made $300,000.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, don't sell yourself short.
Right.
Um, so what's going on with your documentaries for this month? Have either of you attempted to do your 3-act narrative development worksheet?
So I haven't
I,
started on that yet.
yeah, me neither. I haven't started the worksheet yet. Trying to see if I'm sticking to the actual project that I came up with. I mean, it's just one facet I want to know, and I'm gonna ask you maybe even in a later Zoom or after this class, what would be my options? Because I have a little sticky situation with the with what I was doing with the doc.
Yeah, we're actually going to talk through it in this class. It's a fancy worksheet with a bunch of information on it, but there's really only one question that I really need to know. I could get rid of the whole worksheet and ask you one question, and I already know if it's a thumbs up or if it's a thumbs down, and we got to talk you through more development. And that is, what is the protagonist's goal? And based on the answer to that question, if you have an answer, tells me if you got a green lightable idea or I got to shoot you some notes on it. So, but first, tell me about what's your sticky situation. I can guess what it is. It's usually that you're about to lose your talent.
so it's not that, so to speak, but one of my talents that I'm using, he's in the field of my project. So my project is about overcoming or navigating the journey of grief. So I have a mental health student. He's actually a student in college studying this stuff, and he's one subject, and his wife also has a degree in it. Now, when I initially wrote the doc, the mini doc, I had another representative, a principal from a school with dealing with young men that he see go through things on in the average, on the average day. But I never reached out to him. He was a placeholder in the story in my mind. But when I thought about putting him in, it would be so hard to get him. And I knew that towards the end of last course. But the wife of the first subject was like, "Hey, why wasn't I just in it?" It doesn't change the story, but it just I just didn't know how I wrote it up before. Was it any way I had to like put her in differently, or she could not be because I wrote it, you know what I mean, already with the other talent.
So, in terms of telling your story, the easiest way is to have a singular protagonist who has a
Right.
goal, but they're either trying to accomplish something live that you're going to finish filming within 4 weeks, or they're telling the story of a goal they had and that they did accomplish or got to a moment where they failed at accomplishing. So, like one person who's the main protagonist and there's a goal that they did reach or didn't reach, and it has to get to a point where they definitely succeeded or failed. Or you could have multiple protagonists with similar goals, or multiple protagonists with different goals. And none of them have to be the main protagonist, but one of them has to reach the moment of success or failure. So if you have multiple protagonists, it's just one. Or if you had one protagonist but several interviewees, they can be talking about the main protagonist. They can be talking about subjects related to the main protagonist's goals. So you have different paths to go down. At any point during this class or the final documentary class, you can still add more interviews, more footage. You're not locked.
Okay.
That's a not
Okay.
natural part of the production process that you got to do pickups. I've had stuff with distribution, and then somebody refused to sign their paperwork. I had to edit them out. Fooey me, for letting them in without signing before I shoot. Never do that. Don't let them on camera if they don't do the paperwork. They're going to pull a fast one on you. Um, So yeah, if you want to add the wife, just go ahead and add her. The guy that you think you can or can't get, if you can get him later, you can add him anytime you want
Okay.
if you can get him. For the class, this is only a 4 to 6 minute project, including credits, but we want you to make these bigger. I mean, on your own outside of the deliverable for class. You can make these as
Mhm.
long as you want. You can turn it into a feature if you like.
Okay.
I think everybody should at some point make a feature for the experience. But if you were forced to turn your feature into a 4 or 6 minute product, and then once you got rid of everything that you didn't have, then you realize the 4 or 6 minute version is better than the 2 hour version because you just got rid of all the stuff that's not as exciting, that is not as important, and only kept the cliff notes. And then you realize the cliff notes are better. Or I'm dating myself. Do you guys even know what cliff notes are?
I'm familiar.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much stuff out now. I don't even know if the Cliff Notes still exists. So, does that help you out at all with your situation?
Yes, it does. That definitely helped a lot. That definitely helped me. Thank you.
So, are you able to articulate, what one of your interviewees' goal is, or you just know you want to discuss overcoming grief?
Um, Yeah, I kind of know what the goal is. So me and this particular talent, we actually had a conversation about it before we even made it to this point in last course. But so the lead talent is I'm gonna call him, which is the husband, as you know, to the wife. So he actually when he was I think he was it was when he was 8 years old, he lost his mother. So it like his as he knew it, it just seemed like something that was had him numb. So from that point on, he had a he was fascinated with learning how to, overcome. He has a supportive family. Dad is a lead pastor. So he has religious foundation and he has everything you would think a normal person needs to like have the strength to fight these things. But this is still a child who lost a parent. Moving forward, he learned that his path in school all the way through college. He was an athlete. Shout out to Keon. He was an athlete. He used that to get through some of this stuff. Then once he got to college, he started studying like mental health for sports psychology. So shout out to Keon again. So he started learning how to deal with a lot of people that was dealing with different losses, and it wasn't always a person; it was jobs, school opportunities, uh, starting roles on a team. Like going from being a man in high school to being a bench player in college is hard for some. So grief was in so many different ways that he chose to study it. He learned along the way how to create a path to healing for himself through helping others and leaning on friends and family. And he came up with ways to share that to other people. And that's his like ultimate goal. So like even through school and still being a student, he has ways to help others. And that's his big
So when
reveal in the
did he
quotes.
finally overcome his grief of his mom dying?
When he met his wife in college, his sophomore year, she became another thing. So like that's where she comes in and can offer what she did. And I think she recently, as in 3 months, just received her clearance for mental health as well. So that's the part that I want to get with her because I didn't get a chance to get that from her to marry the story yet. But or not story. I only want to keep saying story because it's actually an experience for them. So he's the lead
So
protagonist. Hmm.
that's your whole documentary right there. So Act One,
Right.
first minute was when I was a child, my mom died, and I was so
Yes.
grief stricken, and I wanted to learn how to overcome my grief of the loss of my mom. Okay, Act Two, and then you said then you what you just told me. I explored all of these things. You get
Yeah.
to like a midpoint where I hit my low, it wasn't working. Then at the end of Act Three. I met my wife, and after I met my wife, I was finally able to get to this point where I was
Right.
able to overcome grief. Act three, last 45 seconds. Now that I've overcome grief, today I help other people overcome grief.
Right. Okay.
www.overcomegrief.com. And there you go. 4 to 6 minutes, roll credits.
Love
So
it.
that's a
Love it.
pass.
Appreciate you, brother. That was amazing. Because when we see the assignment and so much information, I'm sure I'm not speaking for just myself. You're trying to pack all that in to understand how to break that down. So I appreciate that right there.
So
Really
the
do.
assignment has a lot of information that you need to find, but all I need is the
Right.
answer actually to that one question.
Gotcha.
And if
Gotcha.
you answer it wrong, then I gotta, do the medium thing and throw the answers out to you. But yeah, that's all I really need to know. Um, Keon,
Yeah, so basically mine's is about Texas high school football athletes just kind of going through like the pressure and adversities that high school football players face, just overcoming those different obstacles through in the classroom, academics, and then also, Texas high school football is just it's a big deal. And so I kind of want to go through the mind of what it's like for a student athlete to carry so much pressure on the football team and also in the classroom and even going inside their families and seeing how was this player developed, how was they raised, and just kind of giving a general background about that.
h- how
Uh,
many interviewees do you have?
Three.
So out of the three interviewees that you have any of them finished high school or are they all still in high school?
Yeah, so two of them finished high school and one of them is still in high school.
So out of the ones who finished high school, are they still playing or they don't play in college?
So I want to interview an ex-player who played, and then the main talent, he's the one that's playing, and then it would be the parent.
Okay. So it's so in terms of structure, it's kind of like a game. So when we tell a story, the story is really about the journey. That's what the story is about. But in order to
Right.
tell the story of the journey, we need a goal. The goal is like the locomotive that is driving the train. The train is full of all the cars from all of the episodes on the journey, and then the caboose is what happens at the end of the journey. And so you could use perhaps one of the athletes who's already graduated and in perhaps went on to college or to get a job or to
Hmm.
play sports in high school and saying, this is, I wanted to graduate and get a job, or I wanted to graduate and play college sports, and this is but I had to overcome, the trials and tribulations of being a high school athlete, and that's how you can create the structure to take us on the journey to talk to all these different athletes about what they need to overcome to be a successful Texas high school athlete. And
Right.
that's how you can structure it together. Does that make sense, or am I
Yes,
going too
sir.
fast?
Oh no, that makes perfect sense. I had a situation with that, so uh, I got in touch with the players that wanted to interview, but it just seemed like it wasn't clicking. Like none of them was really like kind of on board with it. So I ended up having to switch it around. And what made it easier for me was my brother, he's playing baseball. So I'm like, okay, I can keep the same structure of the pitch, but just change it from football to baseball.
Yeah, that's fine. My nephew was playing Division III college baseball up until this year, and even though he got to play, the team wasn't that wonderful, and then
Yeah.
and he decided he wasn't going to try and play baseball like professionally, and
Okay.
decided to go to a different school this year with his really hot girlfriend.
Chase your dreams, not the girls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was a professional dancer. That's where I would have gone, where the the girl was. So he's doing well. He's happy.
I'm
As long
sure.
as
I'm sure.
he's happy.
Right.
Yeah, my niece when she was a ninth grader, because of what's it called? What, Title 9, where they have to recruit the same amount of people of men and women for all sports.
Oh yeah.
Yup.
Yeah, as a
Yup.
ninth grader, I mean, they were like having her play varsity girls volleyball, and they were already recruiting her for college in ninth grade. She's like, yeah, this is too much work. I want to be an accountant, not go to the Olympics. And then she just dropped it, and now she's an accountant and
Oh, okay.
CPA, and she's doing very well. But
Oh, that's
yeah, you got
great.
to know where you're going.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
great.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Also was an
Yeah.
athlete too. Just to share quickly, I was an athlete as well in high school. I played basketball for Overbrook High, where Wilt Chamberlain went, Malik Rose, Will Smith, all those guys. So definitely had a nice sports career, I like to say, but my goal was never to go pro. So at the end of high school, I got a scholarship to go to Penn State, main campus. Had a Wilt Chamberlain scholarship. Took it, went to school, just basketball. Like I think I always was camera guy. Like I always was creative and didn't know how to truly do it because I had no one around me that showed me how to get into it. I took a computer science class. I did business technology and learned some things out there. I did a year. We couldn't afford off campus housing, and there goes my college career. Came back, worked for the 76ers for 2 years doing community relations with a guy that recruited me for a D2 school out here, Westchester University, and made relationships with them. This is still the Allen Iverson era. This is like 2001. Telling my age now, professor. So this is 2001. I'm out of school. You know what I mean? I graduated in 2000. Worked for the Sixers from '02 to '04. The guy that got me the job when Eric Snow got traded to Cleveland, he left and went with Eric Snow to Cleveland. I had no college degree to maintain my position. I was then let go. And then life, so to speak, starts to happen. I had my first child at 20, everything, but I still was in love with cameras.
Wow.
So, Keon, I feel
Yeah.
you where you coming from because sports is still a part of me. When they
Yeah.
asked me what company I would want to work for, I kept saying NBC Sports because I would love to do behind the scenes editing or anything, still shots, professor, or either video. Anything that I
Mm.
could do from a production standpoint, I'm willing to hold the mic. I'm willing to do
Um,
whatever. So you know.
so the fast, would you mind like working like on like a sports reality show or a sports documentary?
Oh, I would love to. Like that would be just like Keon, I'm sure. That's the goal. That's the
So
dream.
Yeah.
without getting super deep, so it's much easier to get hired on a reality show. That's because it's non-union and it pays less.
Right.
But so it's really easy to get hired on a reality show, and the easiest job to get on a reality show is called logger, which is where you got to watch all the hours of footage, and then you just type up what happens every 5 minutes. And then somebody later called a story editor goes behind your log, looks at the log and then creates a story, and then somebody else comes behind the story editor that's like a writer director editor and then creates the segments. But if you start out as a logger, you don't need any experience. You just got to be able to work the program, which used to be Final Cut, now it's Avid. um, People can go from like logger to executive producer in like 2 to 3 years, if you're
Oh
in
wow.
reality, because it's non-union and it just moves fast. Lots and lots of below the line talent positions like that in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome because I was a Final Cut guy until Full Sail University came in my life.
Uh,
so now I'm
Yeah, the old
I'm getting
Final
there.
Cut. I mean, that started becoming like a standard, like on reality type shows, and then Final
Gotcha.
Cut went in a new direction. Uh,
Yup.
the new direction doesn't really work in the professional workflow because on a professional production, it's not one person doing everything. Somebody's doing the sound, somebody's doing the color, somebody's doing the motion graphics, and then something like Avid works in what's called like a Unity server where multiple people can access the same project at the same time. And Final Cut was making like a server version. They had it for a little while, but it's really complicated and expensive, and they just didn't want to get involved with that and went in a new direction. But yeah, reality, you can go fast. You can move fast editing trailers. I don't know if that will really apply so much into the sports world unless you got the gig doing the promos for the shows that are going to be on a network, that are sports related in terms of the game. But promo editing and trailer editing pays a lot of money, and you get good really fast because it's only like 30 seconds or 1 minute, and so you can go over your edit like 1,000 times and it gets really really good, where you can't really go through a feature film edit 1,000 times because it's too long.
Are those edits like the promo edits? Are those edits with all the effects and things like that that you see a lot of these young editors doing now these days?
Yeah, and so for this class, no effects. That's not cinematic. So, but yeah, promos, sizzle reels, that kind of
Mhm.
stuff is effects
Yeah,
heavy. Depends on what kind of shop you're in.
right.
If you have to do any effects at all or a little bit, if it's super high end, there's somebody that only cuts the story, and then there's somebody else that comes behind it and adds all the effects.
Cool.
If you like doing effects, it's
Yeah,
very healthy, especially if you want to jump in that promo world. I was a
right.
predator for a while for PBS, which means producer, writer, editor. It pays really well, $2,500 a week.
Now,
Wish I
Oh
had
I,
that
yeah.
money
Oh
now.
yeah.
I'm the type where I don't like all of the effects and things like that. I like for the story to speak for itself. So I really like to focus mostly on like the cinematography of the whole video space, like video production. I've never been a type where like because I do a lot of high school sports. I'm on the sidelines and recording and doing highlight reels and things like that. My stuff is mainly like cinematic form, not the high end of effects and stuff like that. Because I feel like that's overkill.
It's completely different discipline, doing effects versus telling a story. So I was doing network television, technically PBS, but so
Yeah.
somebody else did the effects package every
Mhm.
now and then. They ask me to do something, and it would be like death. I
Yeah.
have to buy some templates because I'm not an effects guy. I tell stories, but
Yeah.
it paid
For
really
sure.
well. When you're in that world, music videos, commercials, documentaries, they don't do scripts like you did in SWT. They do AV scripts, which you've seen a couple of times by
Oh
now,
yeah.
which is, right and
Yeah.
left, video and audio. You need to know that. Nobody tells you when you're doing that you can get $2,500 a week to work in that format.
Mm.
Do you guys know what a Nagra is?
I've never heard that before.
No, me neither.
They still exist, but they're digital now. Now, back in the day on the movie set, the guy who was called the field mixer, the sound man, had this
Hmm.
silver box with knobs. It was reel to reel tape, and he recorded the sound. He's called the field mixer. And then when you go to film school when you're my age, 175, they go, who wants to be the director on this project? And they go, me, me, me. Who wants to be the writer on this project? And you go, me, me, me. And they go, who wants to be the sound man? And everybody says no. What they did not know is the sound man makes $1 million.
Mhm.
And tell me that. Yeah. First millionaire I met in Hollywood was a black man with 4 Academy Awards. He was the sound man. He was Steven Spielberg's sound man. He lived down the street from Steven Spielberg. If somebody told me the man holding the Nagra was a millionaire, I would forget the writing and producing. I'm going to be the sound man, and then I can just pay for whatever movie I want. To make,
Right.
but no, they don't explain that's how much the sound man gets paid. First time I worked on a movie set, I was an extra. This man came out. He was very tan. He had this long salt and pepper hair. He was thin. His skin looked like a baby's behind. And I said, is that the director? And is that the producer? And he laid down on the ground. I thought he was taking a nap. And then he picked up the Nagra. That was the sound man because the sound man's a millionaire. Full Sail was originally a sound school, and when you look at the people's sound credits, yeah, I mean, you'll realize, oh yeah, this is a sound school. Even Barack Obama, the guy who flew on Air Force One and did the sound every time Barack Obama spoke, it's a Full Sail grad. It's the sound man. There's money in sound.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That costs a lot of money.
I don't even do that many video gigs anymore. I got lazy. I'm a professional voiceover artist now, so we're in my green screen studio, but I got another room that's my audio studio where I just do voiceovers because it's easy. I don't have to go anywhere. I can just go across the hallway and make the same amount of money as breaking down all my equipment, driving all around Florida. Like, ain't my body got time for that.
Right.
I'm just gonna
Right.
go in there and lay down a voiceover.
Right. My whole
Uh,
idea was to be more in the editing too, also. Like, now I'm not a flashy guy like Keon was saying. And you also. I'm not really the guy that's trying to bring all the effects, but I have experience with it because like when I broke into the video, that's what I came through doing was like doing family things, just doing crazy transitions from After Effects to just trying to learn as much as I could on my own. So I was all self-taught. So it's all raw, but it still comes across good, and for social, it works.
So let's take the director out of the equation for a second. The three people who really build the movie, or the writer who has to tell the story, the cinematographer who has to shoot the story, and then the editor who actually has to take the pieces and put it together. And the editor has the biggest impact on the story. The writer is what you hope to get. The cinematographer is what you shot and what's in the can. But then the editor is what is actually going to be finished. So those are the three positions that really build the movie: the writer, the cinematographer, and the editor. And going in reverse, the editor has the most impact, the cinematographer has the second most impact, and then the writer has the third most impact. Um, and what I really love about editing is if I'm working for people who don't know what they're doing, at least I get to sit down while I'm working and they're annoying me versus standing up. I hate having to stand up all day and shoot for somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. I would rather be sitting down and relaxing.
Agreed.
Um, so for both of your projects now, let's move on to have you picked your locations to shoot your interviews?
Yes, sir, I have
Okay,
Yes,
Keon,
I have as well. Yep.
how many locations or camera setups have you picked?
three.
Okay, three is good. And
Mhm.
for the people who are going to be watching this at home, even if you only have one interviewee, will allow you to use one interviewee, but surprise, 50% chance that person's going to cancel, which is why we ask you to get three. If you only have one interviewee, still do three camera setups. That means three locations, three rooms in the same location, or three walls to give it some visual variety. So if I'm in one room, I don't have another room, then I do three different camera setups in the same room just to change it up a bit. So you've
Okay,
got, so I assume if you haven't done the worksheet yet, you haven't done your lighting plots yet.
I've done my
True.
lighting
No
plots.
lighting plan.
Wait a minute. Who said yes? You've done your lighting plots?
I have Keon. I've done my lighting plots.
Okay. If you don't mind, um, could you do a screen share and share your lighting plots? Let me take a peek at them and tell them what's
Okay,
a thumbs up and what's a thumbs down.
let me get that up for you.
Man, I haven't had anybody who had their lighting plots ready by Wednesday in a long time.
Keon not playing, man. Keon is not playing. I
I'm
love
hope
it.
I'm recording and make sure I don't accidentally touch the key and stop recording. It's gonna be a good one.
Let me get it pulled up.
Have you guys tried to do the quiz yet for the rule of thirds?
No, sir, I have not yet.
No,
Um,
sir, I haven't either.
Everybody fails, but it's not a trick test. It's the grade weight is almost nothing at all. Depending on Keon's lighting plots, I'm gonna
Uh-oh.
open up the test
Hey,
and
how do I do a
just give
screen
you
share?
guys the answers.
Already.
You said how do
Now,
you? Oh, about to say okay.
I got it up. I'm trying to figure out how to do the screen share now.
You see
So
it at the bottom.
at the bottom, there's a green box with a black arrow on it. It says share, and then when you
Oh,
click
okay.
on share, it'll give you the option to share the screen with the lighting plots or the desktop. But sometimes I just say share the screen because if you share the desktop, then we might see like blacks for Trump. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't mean to share that. Damn.
I was
Somebody
about to
get
say,
mad. I'm
man.
gonna have to edit that out.
Yeah. Be careful, Professor. Be careful.
All right, so now I got it up. Can you guys see it now?
Yeah, I see
Yes.
you. Yep.
All right, there we go. So this is my lighting plot.
Well, no, right now the window you shared is of your Finder window. It's not of
Oh yeah, it's
one of
not
the
showing it there. Yep.
screenshots, which are probably going to open in preview. So you have to change it to share desktop or share preview.
Oh, okay.
You might have to back out and go back in again.
My wife gonna come help me out because she knows more than I do.
That's all right.
Well, you're doing good. You figured out how to get back out of the screen share.
Okay.
I know. I was hoping we didn't lose them. I was like, uh-oh.
Are you guys able to see it
So
now?
yeah, she's sharing your desktop, and now we can just see anything that's on the desk.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Well, this is incomplete. So in the instructions, it's going to tell you we need all the details. So the details that we need are in addition to, I'm trying to think where I want to start.
Oh, like
In
the
addition to the lights, well, since I said the word lights, you need to have three lights: a key, a fill, and a backlight. The key light is the main light, which is the brightest light. The fill light is where it's going to be not as bright, and you have the key and fill on the right, correct sides of the camera, but one needs to be brighter than the other.
okay.
Um, they're a little close, but your light kits aren't that powerful. I'm not going to worry about that so much.
Oh,
But the
okay.
backlight, where students get mixed up, they think the backlight is a background light. The backlight
Yeah.
is to light the back of the talent, and it separates them from the background. And
Okay.
so for each light, not only does it have to be labeled key, fill, and backlight, you need to tell us what the how many Kelvin, what is the color temperature.
Oh, okay.
And with your light kits, it's 5600K. Some people have better light kits that came with the full cell production package. So, I can't assume that you're using the full cell lights. You also have to tell us the wattage. Again, some people have better lights than the full cell light kit, and I need to know the wattage. Why do I
Right.
need to know the wattage? Well, because if you tell me that you're 100 yards away and trying to do a long shot and it's only 10 watts, then I'm like, hey, man, that's not going to work. You don't have
Mhm.
enough light. So key, fill, backlight, color temperature, wattage. If
Okay.
you just had a big ass space and it's really dark and your light kit isn't enough, you might have to use the sun. And so I need to know if there's doors and windows, are they open? In general, do not attempt to use the natural lighting or sunlight from a window unless you have to. If you have to use sun from the window, it's brighter than the full cell light kit. And so you'd have to put the sun on the key light side. You'd never want it in frame because it's going to blow out, wash out, mean it's only going to read white because you weren't able to make the light intensity of your lights match the sun.
Okay.
But you can put the sun on the key side and then use your lights on, and then you just have a fill light on the other side.
Okay.
Uh, and this, so is this a window or a door that I'm looking at in this upper right hand corner?
That's like a window. It's like the patio door.
So can it be closed?
Yes, it's closed.
So yeah, that's good. And so you would tell me this is closed. I also need to know the distance. For this
Okay.
class, I don't care how far you are from the talent, but what I need to know is the distance from the talent to the background slash wall or any objects in the background.
So
That's because,
I did have another sheet where I kind of put it in details of the wattage,
yeah,
the
put it on your plot instead of
okay.
in a separate sheet.
Okay, gotcha.
And so what trips some people up, they'll do the distance and they'll measure kind of the distance directly from the wall, but I need the distance from the person in terms of where the camera is. Because let's say if the camera was here, or actually, can you guys see my mouse or am I just looking at this?
Oh no, I can't see the mouse.
So if the camera was in a different position, you'd have to measure the distance from the talent, by drawing a line to the camera to the line to the wall. And so
Okay.
the distance needs to be at least 6 to 8 feet, unless you're in a scenario where that isn't possible. But that's rare, which means if you don't have 6 to 8 feet behind the talent, you'd have to take yourself and the camera and move it all the way back against the furthest most wall from the talent so you can pull the talent away from the wall. If the talent is too close to the wall, you can cast an ugly, harsh shadow. Um, Even if you are 6 to 8 feet, if you haven't raised your lights high enough and tilted them down on about like a 45 or 9 degree angle, you're still going to get a shadow. So even when you're on set, you're still going to have to experiment with your lights a bit and make sure you're not casting a shadow that we can see in frame on the screen.
Okay.
What else? Let me know where the microphone is. I mean, it sounds silly, but somebody could have the microphone in the corner. I could say, no, it's too far.
Right.
Definitely show me where the microphone is. Some people have the microphone in frame, and if it's a shotgun mic, again, that's no. Do you have a lavalier microphone, a lapel pin-on microphone?
No, I don't. Actually, I'll be using just a shotgun microphone.
So a shotgun is just fine. A lavalier is always going to sound better because it's
Hmm.
so close. Even on a big movie, even though
Right.
they've got like $4,000 shotgun, they still have a wireless lav hidden under the actor's clothes. Even a 10, 20, or $30 lav, even if it's wired and you got to run a wire to the camera, still going to sound better than a medium grade because it's just so close and that gets rid of all the sound. I mean, if you're able to get like a little $30 lav, it's worth it. It's going to sound sweeter. You
Right.
never, ever, ever, ever want to shoot with one mic. Sometimes something goes wrong. Um, Always have at least two mics. No such thing as one microphone shoot. You always got to have two mics, even if you're using the mic that's built into the camera. Go back to CVD and remember how to put audio in all four channels. In CVD, Randy taught you to put the manual levels in channel one and two and set channels three and four to auto levels. Um, if you have set your manual levels wrong or the person talks loud and then starts whispering, then the auto level was going to adjust. And so the one that you set, we might not be able to hear, or it might break up when the talent gets loud, and you'll be able to switch at that moment when you're editing to the channels three and four that had the auto levels. And so you always want at least two mics, and you always want to have channels one and two to manual and channels three and four to audio. If you get fancy, I got a field mixer, and my field mixer has what's called a 32-bit floating processor,
Oh
which
yeah.
means it records at four audio levels at all time. So the sound can never be too loud and it can never be too soft. That's like witchcraft, demonology, and it helps a lot. I use it for my voiceovers and I use it in the field when I'm shooting. It just makes life much, much, much easier.
Now, I do have a question. With us doing these interviews, I do know that you do need a two mic setup for the lab and maybe like have the shotgun on the boom pole, something like that. Um, I know they didn't give it to us in the kit, so that's expected of us to still have the two mic setup.
Ah,
They showed us how to
so
build one in one of them classes. They showed us how to build one, and I did it with the cheap $7 mop stick, and you ordered a little
yeah.
fishing thing, and you put the mic in. Yeah, so that's what I've been using, man. It's pretty cool too.
Okay.
So it's not impossible to do your shoot. It's just better. And then, like I said, if you don't actually have a second mic, you can't. I'm pretty sure the Sony does have a built-in onboard mic. Use that as a backup. Something goes wrong sometimes, but actually most of the time, you just want to have that backup. Um, if you're on like a bigger project where you're really laying down your sound on a separate device, sometimes somebody's not paying attention or they're texting, and when you go to label all the takes, you get these orphan takes where you don't know which shot it goes to. And by even having that onboard camera microphone, sometimes that'll can save you and give you audio when you couldn't find where it went on the actual card for the actual audio recorder. You always want to have two mics, even if it's the built-in onboard mic. Two mics, two
Okay.
mics.
Okay, got you.
Um, so, so when I'm looking at in terms of where you are as the director, interviewer next to the camera is fine. Um, this is this is kind of okay because I'm going to tell people that if you're on the left, that the talent should be to the right of the camera lens. And so
Okay.
that this one's
Oh,
this
actually,
this
this was I had two setups because I did two different shots to show my last for my last class. I was just showing her like how it would look if I stood over on the opposite side because she kind of wanted us to play around it with it and see what we thought about it, just to kind of give us a clear image of this is how it would look if you did sit on this side. But it's normally for us to be on the left side, right?
That no, it doesn't matter if you're left or
Okay.
right. It's just that
Okay.
if you're left, the talent should be to the right, and if you're right, the talent should be to the left,
Okay, gotcha.
and that's to get the proper framing with the rule of thirds. Yeah, I mean yours is close enough where I'd probably not give you a ding or a comment that yeah I might have for visual purposes. I'd probably move your talent just a little bit more to the right of the camera just to make sure you understand that the talent needs leading room. Leading room is the direction that you're looking. There's more negative space in the side that they are looking. And it should just be a pinch, and then you want the talent's eyes to be right around where the top, where the horizontal and vertical thirds intersect, and they should be looking just slightly off camera at you.
Okay.
So here in my studio, I am to the left of the camera, and then I'm looking at an imaginary person to the right of the camera who's supposed to be the director. Um, you should be seated or standing at the same eye level as the camera and the talent. The lens, your eyes and the talent's eyes should all be at the exact same level. And so that way it doesn't look like they're looking up at you during the interview, or and it doesn't look like they're looking down at you.
Okay, gotcha.
Another thing, which is just a very easy trick to sweeten your your frame, never shoot on a flat wall. A flat wall is just flat in terms of higher cinematography and artistry. You want angles and triangles in your frame. A flat wall, there's no angles, no triangles. If you go diagonally onto a wall or grab some corner, you're starting to create more triangles in the frame. And so that's just a little trick. Never go on a flat wall. I mean, people do it. It's not great cinematography, but it's just an easy way to make yourself stand out without having to do anything at all. Don't shoot on a
Right.
flat wall. You can create more dimension, more shadows, more triangles, more angles. Just never shoot on a flat wall. Um,
I do have a
any,
question. A
yeah, yeah,
question.
go
So,
ahead.
the reason why I didn't have a 3-point lighting setup because the space that I'm in it is really small. So um I was trying to figure out a way to keep the backlight from being in the shot. That's not okay, right? Like you don't want to have the hair light in the shot. You kind of want to keep it out the shot.
No, no, you don't want it in the shot. And so, well, first of all, how big is the room?
So to give you an idea, it's a 1 bedroom apartment, and so the living room is not big at all. Like maybe I would say toward, well, I guess the almost the size of a normal size bedroom, just a little bit bigger.
10 by 10, 15 by
Yeah,
15.
15. Yeah, I would
So
say,
you want to put yourself in the camera all the way against the back wall.
okay.
Then you want to, are you shooting on primes or are you using the lens that came with your camera package?
The lens that came with the camera package.
Then you want to put the lens on the widest setting, and then you want to move the talent uh, as closer to the lens to get the framing you want. If you're on a one camera shoot, give me a medium shot. Medium shot can be cropped into a close up or an extreme close up, but you can't turn a close up into a medium or a full shot. One
Right,
camera interview is a medium. Two camera interview is a medium and a wide. Three camera interview is medium, wide, and then close. Four camera, and then add a Steadicam, five Steadicam crane, six Steadicam cranes, drone, seven, whatever you want. Maybe you got a GoPro and a plant, but a medium. That's your safe shot. You're like
okay.
probably about like back here. That's the shot you want to use.
Would it be
If
safe? Would it be safe if I was to like shoot it like from corner to corner to make the room look a little bit bigger and to keep from shooting like a flat wall?
when you say corner to corner, are you talking about framing or just the direction?
So the direction. So if I put the
Oh
talent,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, if you're shooting in a corner, again, that's not a flat wall, and so yes, that's a thumbs up if you're doing a corner. I wouldn't necessarily put the corner in the middle of the shot. I'd put that corner on, one of the near the horizontal. I'm sorry, near the vertical third on the right or left is where
okay,
I'd stick the corner instead of in the middle.
gotcha.
The middle is the most powerful part of the frame, and thus can become boring because you get what's called visual burnout. You don't want to overdo it. You just want to do a shot in like 2, 3 seconds. You don't want to be M. Night Shyamalan, Life of Pi, and do 15 minutes of somebody in the middle like I'm watching the news. It doesn't work. The news is just a different, completely philosophy why they got somebody in the middle. Blah 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 blah. Um, yeah, corners are good, except just put the corner near one of the two thirds.
Okay, gotcha.
Once you start shooting in the corner, I mean, it's going to get magical. So my next question is: so once you go corner to corner, you're probably going to be able to get the backlight in there without it being in frame. If you could not, I would have you, if you had white walls or lighter colored walls, I'd have you bounce the light off the wall in order to get to help separate the talent from the background. But if you did that, you have to give me a note because most people who have the light pointed in the wrong direction are not cinematic geniuses and bouncing it. They're trying to light the background.
Gotcha. What if I was to use like a bounce card or something like that instead of using the light?
Yeah, you could use a bounce card, but again, I would really want the bounce card behind the
Okay.
talent. That's just a really advanced scenario if you can't get the light behind the talent.
Mhm.
Uh, because the way to fix that is, well, don't do that camera setup if you can't
Yeah.
get a backlight. And just definitely stay away from using the window as a backlight. Your kits just aren't strong enough. I mean, if you had like a light, that was like 5, 6, 7, 8K, if that sun is blasting, you're going to be able to match the intensity of the sun. That's not a problem. In a real shoot, when they have the window open, they might have gone outside and taken a large neutral density jelly roll and
Mm-hmm.
rolled the window, which is like putting a giant sunglass over the
Right.
window. And so you're thinking, well, I've seen this, but no, they put sunglasses on the window. That's why you can see it.
Right.
All right. And so this is I hope the people that watch the video listen to the video because they go, oh great, I don't need to do any of that stuff. I don't see that in the video. um so this is a good start. You didn't have all your information, but it's a good start.
Okay.
Uh it is let me see your other lighting plot.
Okay. Let me come to that one.
Oh, that's the same camera setup.
Yeah, it's the same camera.
So, yeah, you got to have three different setups, 2 to 3 different setups. Three, really do three. If you did two, I'm not gonna complain, but they
Okay.
got to be different. You just can't show me two pictures of different names of the same setup. That's gonna be,
Right.
he tried to trick me. He didn't think I was watching.
Okay.
And I know that's probably from last class, right, Keon, where she just had us switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Oh,
had what? Yeah.
yeah, I see it now. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I've never caught that before. I see it. Nah, not enough. Nah, nah,
All right. Well, we got
no.
through that class. We got through that
Yeah,
one,
we got
Keon. We
Uh,
good. We
we
made it
did
through
it.
that one, brother.
so
But I see what you're saying, Professor. Like basically switch the shot up. It don't have to be a lot, but it has to be a different shot. You want to
Mhm.
go with a
it's
different,
it's it's
not just
a
a different focal
different
length.
setup. Yeah, it's got to be.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
you can't take the objectives of one class and apply them to the next class. Doesn't mean the other class is wrong.
Gotcha.
It just has a different set of objectives and different things that they're trying to accomplish. Like in her class, she's also asking you like which lens are you using? How far
Mhm.
is the lens from the talent? Completely
Okay.
Mhm.
different set of
Yeah.
objectives.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Um, Yeah, all this is really easy when people read the instructions or watch the Zoom, but they don't always do that. I mean, always is not even the correct word. It's like usually.
Hmm. And the way she was breaking it down, she was saying like how I guess that class would kind of run into this class, and I thought
hmm
it would all kind of like somehow come together. So that's why I was thinking like, oh, we got the plot, we did it already.
Yeah, no, you know what? She did say that, but then she also was like, she did say like when we get to Professor Odom's class, he will be looking for like other. I don't know if we were in the same Zoom classes, brother, but she was saying like he would also want the details from the distance from the wall to the camera, the lighting
Okay.
setup, wattage. Yeah, she went over it a few times because it tricked me out because I used the school lens for that class, but in the actual doc shoot. I have a set of three primes that I had invested in maybe a few months back that I kind of want to bring out and have some fun with. So I'm going to go ahead and use those. So I know my setups is going to be kind of crazy, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Professor, be
No, no,
kind.
no. I'll always shoot on the primes. Don't
Okay,
shoot.
yeah,
What'd you buy? Roganons?
I got some Cerus.
All
Oh yeah.
right.
Yep, I invested in those. I think a
What focal
35, a
length
20, 35, 24, and a 50. I think it's 24, 35, 50.
are you on a full frame?
Yes.
So you're probably going
No,
to
I
shoot a.
retract that. I retract that. It's not full frame. I would have to punch in just a teats to take away that ring.
Ah.
Yeah, just a like it's
Why
a.
did you not buy? You got a full frame camera. Why did
I
you not
know,
buy
man.
full frame? No,
Them
no, take
extra
those
couple
back.
bucks.
No, that's not what you
I
want.
know.
Take those back. That's not
I
what you
know.
want.
I know.
Do
I know. I know, man. They were
you
low.
guys
They
know what
great
a
for low light.
a bokeh is?
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, the bokeh, how it blurs and how it looks in the lens is not identical from lens to lens. Um, it's like Picasso versus Rembrandt, even though it's the same apple, it doesn't look exactly the same. And so, whatever kind of camera you have, you want a lens that matches the frame of the camera so you can see the full bokeh. Otherwise, you're cropping the bokeh. Yeah, like a full frame camera with a full frame lens, you get to see the full bokeh, and you get to see Rembrandt versus Picasso, and that like dramatically changes the image. The image. What's the are your lenses f stops or t stops?
AT stops.
Okay, so
AT
an
stops.
f-stop is the light when the camera hits the lens. A t-stop
Yup.
is when the camera hits the inside of the camera at the iris. So a t-stop is one stop below an f-stop, which means you're getting more light. It's faster.
Right.
Light is getting into the camera faster.
Yes.
And so um, when you're like way, way, way down on like a T12 or a T14, you don't need as much
Yup.
light, but your depth of field where it's in focus gets smaller and smaller. So if you're shooting at like a T12 or T14, the amount of focus might only be 2 or 3 inches, which means that person has to be really still. You got to
Yup.
be careful. Like for the most part, most of the stuff you shoot is going to live around like a 5.2 or a 5.4. You don't want
Right.
to go below that unless you know you're shooting something that's going to be static or they're going to go out of frame. I'm
Gotcha.
on, this is like a T like 1.2 that I'm on right now. And I can very easily go out of focus.
Gotcha. Yeah, these are T1, twos. Also, the sweet spot on these ones are like 2.2, 2.4. Like that's what I seen, and like different lighting setups. If I go low light, if I'm just shooting like with a key light and a backlight, and I'm using other little ambient lights just to, like vlogging. Um, it's amazing at like 2.6.
So my vision is not that great, and so first thing I do is I get out my cinematographer's lens, manual or chart, and I actually get a tape measure like Randy, and then I measure it, and then after I measure it, I'll actually get a card with like little small text, and I'll put it on a tripod where my eye line is, and I go back to
Ooh,
my camera, then I'll put it in magnification mode and then I'll
yeah,
fine tune it to make sure I can read those letters where my eyes are supposed to be, and that's how I lock focus.
nice. Okay, okay, gonna try that.
I had a real movie that I made that I just screwed up, and then when I got the notes from quality control, they're like, "This is out of focus," and I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna have to turn in to straight up street hustler," and they sent me like 2 pages of Excel spreadsheet from quality control before it went to distribution. It was like 2 pages, single space in Excel. And then I sent them 12 pages back, 8 point font, single spaced, explaining, it's a game to where you how to do notes. You got to take, whether it's writing or your quality control, you got to use some of the notes and then you got to explain why you didn't use a note or how this note inspired you to find a solution. And so when the stuff was just clearly out of focus, not on a stabilizer, and I was like, no, because of the vision, the family, it was a hostage, terrifying situation, and it was supposed to be shaky and blurry because this was the internal state of mind in the scene. And then they were like, thank you, Chris. This was a teachable moment. We learned a lot here, and quality control. I was bullshitting. It was out of focus. Handheld, it was out of focus. But I was like, I don't have $60,000 to reshoot these scenes. I have to spit some game.
Understood.
I never ever want to have to deliver the quality control again. It took 3 years off my lifespan going through that. Very stressful.
I can imagine.
you finally find the money, you get your movie made, you get some name talent in it, you've gone all the way, you got a distributor, it's a major distributor, and somebody making $14 an hour is telling you need to go reshoot. And you're like, the hell I am. You are nobody. You are nobody.
I'm gonna keep that
He
in
was
mind just in case.
he was right. It was out of focus. Sloppy camera work. Stressful. Um, any more questions?
I think you
Uh,
covered a lot. I think you covered a lot for me. I think knowing my mishaps, overthinking like most of us probably do when it's time to shoot or we're on set, which is probably everybody, is lighting. Now if I have other lighting, is it a limit on how I can use lighting? I'll definitely have the full cell package involved. But if I wanted to use a little bit of floor lighting just to accentuate the separation from the talent to the wall that I'm using, it's
Oh,
photos
yeah,
on the
yeah.
wall. Okay,
3 point is the minimum amount of lights you're supposed to
gotcha,
have, but you
gotcha.
can definitely
Okay,
have more.
okay, gotcha.
Trying to think, there was something else I was going to. I think it slipped my mind. Yeah, if something comes to me,
now, now,
if you
do
have any
you?
questions, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
So do we have to use a whole full cell package, or are we able to use outside things? Maybe we
If you
talk.
have something better than the full cell package, you can use
Okay,
that. It just at a minimum, you have to use at in terms of quality, you need to at least use the full cell package or use a better package.
gotcha. Okay, and better mean better lighting.
Yeah, yeah, just better lighting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, if you're in a room that's really crazy dark and there's just no way you can make the camera package work, yeah, you can use some of the natural lighting. But to do
Okay,
an interview, your kit, even if it's pitch black, your kit should be enough light to do an interview, even if it's pitch black. It actually look pretty good, really cinematic.
I like those. That's kind of the look I was really going for. Um, is it any way that I can kind of go with that cinematic look with 3 point lighting, or that's why I kind of really wanted to try the 2 point lighting because I guess it looked a little bit more cinematic.
So the backlight is you still need to, or the hair light, pull
Okay.
the talent away from the background. You got to separate them. And so to get it really cinematic, as you're saying, you're just creating a greater differentiation between the key and the fill, and
Okay.
that's how that's what's making it more cinematic, getting the key brighter and the fill softer.
Okay, gotcha. Now,
Um,
in order
I could have it more cinematic in here, but I mean, this is supposed to be a class. Shouldn't look like it's a horror movie in the
yeah,
Zoom.
Hey, Key, play around with your softbox on your fill light a little bit and see what you
okay,
get. That helped me out when I was doing
okay,
the cinematic shots in another course. Got good reviews from the professor. So what I did was I
okay,
just kind of lowered it. I changed the Kelvin a little bit down and like just made it more blend with the room temperature instead of going off 56K, and just
okay,
try to play around with it. But make sure you document it so professor know that. But
yeah.
that's what I did for that. It was a still image we needed, but it was the most beautiful like cinematic shot I probably ever pulled off, and I probably couldn't even duplicate it again if I tried.
Oh man,
Yeah,
you gonna have to show me the stills for that.
I got you, bro. I got you.
For this class, you're going to want to diffuse all of your lighting, but I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes, I mean, you'll get some crazy director that doesn't diffuse the key, and and that just makes it look harsh, and which is kind of rude. I think Spike Lee had one movie where he did not diffuse Vanessa Williams, and it was really rude because yeah, she has skin problems, and I was like,
Oh
that's just
man.
rude. I mean, that's just rude. That he didn't diffuse. Crazy creative type.
Oh man.
Yeah, diffuse your light.
Yep. Yep.
I
That's
mean,
all,
now
Key. That's
everything is
all.
digital. I mean, harsh lighting like really looks harsh.
True. Lighting was my biggest like hurdle coming into school because I was so in love with landscape photography and natural light. I'm so good at bouncing off
So
natural things.
if you really want to learn how to light, it's a little weird. You want to watch black and white movies from the 40s. They
Okay.
didn't have color, and all they had was, lighting and, different shades of gray. And so they had to do really amazing things with light and shadow. And if you want to become an expert, at lighting and shaping the frame and angles, watch movies from the 40s.
Oh, I noted. I'm gonna definitely take note of that.
All right. Any other questions?
I think that you pretty much touched on everything that I was looking forward to.
All
I
right.
agree too.
This
I
was a good
agree.
class. Thank God I recorded it. Whew.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
All
you
right.
knocked it out the park, man. You did. You really did. Let us get
Mm.
our. I think we both had some of the same worries. It sounded like me and Key was on the same like level
Yeah.
with like how to set up and like
Mm.
everything. You jump right into it. So I think this was very helpful, even moving forward past this not just this class or whatever, but I think in tight situations, him being a sports journalist, I'm gonna call you Key, and
Yeah.
because you said cinematic, so I'm gonna call you a sports journalist, man. And then, like for me, it's like telling a or showing the vulnerability of people going through things. Like most students probably listening to this recording, is trying to figure out how to capture that moment. I feel like you put it in a sense to just let the let the technicalities fall where they shall, but do it right, and everything else will go like it's supposed to. So I kind of
Hmm.
like appreciate how you broke down everything, Professor.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions, I'm always online. Shoot me a message and message me through the activity that you're talking about. If you forget to tell me your name and what you're talking about, if you do it through the activity, I can find your name and what you're talking about. But I have 127 students, and then when I get
Wow.
a email, it's like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna be late." And I'm like, "Who is this?
Right.
Which class? Which section?" Like I got 127 students in 5 different classes, so I don't know what's going on, and so
Okay.
always message me through the specific assignment and activity. I'm always online. If you send me a message, I'll respond within like 60 minutes or less. If you're trying to get me in a Zoom or a phone call, good luck. I'm really busy. Send me a message. And normally people just want extra time or they want to tell me the story. If you need extra time, the answer is yes. I mean, if you don't come to class, you don't know that. It's just yes. Even if I say 3 day late policy and you sneak it in, unless you did the whole class on Sunday of week 4, it's just yes. I'm going to grade it. I'm not going to penalize you 30 points. I'm just trying to scare people into doing what they're supposed to be doing. Some people need like an organic reason to do what they're supposed to be doing. There's no real late penalty. Uh, you can hand it in almost any time, but I need people not to believe that. I can say this now because nobody's going to get to the end of the video. But for the people in the in crowd,
There you go. There you
you got
go.
some freedom.
There you go.
You got to come to class and watch the whole recording.
You have
Yeah, I'm
to. I
getting
made a
old
habit of
now.
that.
If you're late to class, I need to put it in the Zoom. Yeah, you can't get in the Zoom late. I'm not letting folk in, and somebody trying to get in right now. No, you got to be on time. I went to a black school, my first school. Be on time. That's what they told us
Yep.
in orientation week. You got to be on time. He's gonna have to watch it.
Mhm.
Be on time. All right, fellas. I'll see you next Wednesday.
All
Okay.
right, Professor.
You
Have a good one,
All
Wednesday.
man.
right. Yeah, have a good one.
You too.